shoot, that didn't work. Hang on. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, well, hello LFGS. We are here. We have PSI and Cajun Wise Guy. They're going to be casting the Freakwatch Sigma versus Odyssey Scylla tonight. It should be a really close matchup. So looking forward to seeing how these teams will perform. I currently don't have PSI's face or like icon, but I'll get that settled. We're currently gonna get teams shifted around and figure out what maps they want. So kind of stay tuned. But I'll let the casters chit chat if you guys want.
Yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Cajun Wise Guy. I've been off the mic for about 4 years now in the Overwatch, still playing in the amateur leagues, but participating here and looking for Gold Scrim Season 7. And both of these teams, Odyssey and Freakwatch, are coming in with a 3-2 record, so both of them have a lot on the line here. Odyssey, maybe the slight seed advantage, but there's going to be a couple key players we're going to be looking at throughout the night here. First map pick here is going to be a control map, so that's going to kind of lay, I think, the tempo for this because both of these teams are so evenly matched. It's going to come down to probably some individual plays, but more importantly, with PSI riding shotgun on me, I wanted to introduce him. How he's going to be analyzing. We're going to be looking at some team comps and how they're addressing these each of these maps and see if each of these teams can kind of suss out some weaknesses and or some strengths that they can take advantage of. PSI, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Cajun, good to be here. Yeah, we're definitely looking for a good match this evening. Freakwatch Sigma and Odyssey Scylla both returning rosters from previous seasons and currently seed 6 and 8 in the tournament right now with 1 week left after today. So the win here tonight could solidify how comfortable they're feeling about making it into playoffs.
Yeah, it's definitely you win, you're in. If you're not, you might be on the outside looking in, kind of thinking, what could we have done better? So both of these teams are going to really have to kind of lay it on the line because I think coming out and setting the pace is going to be really important here. And it looks like we're going to Elios. Have they done the map choices in the bands yet? They probably haven't got to that point, but okay, so setting the tone, both of these teams having been in this situation, you're going to have a little bit of the first game jitters and getting through that, getting your comms going, and just kind of feeling out how each of these teams are going to kind of play. I think grabbing that first win, or at least if you don't maybe take that win, you're keeping it close, right? It came down to one individual play, maybe one missed ult or something along that line that keep that keep that morale going, keep the comms going. So really going to be looking at this first map here, how these teams coordinate with each other. And more importantly, is there any player that's got the jitters, and hopefully they can get sussed out here. We don't, hopefully neither team has that, but would not surprise me that, you know, being the fives format, the tanks, of course, everybody knows tanks have to be front and center in any of these team compositions. So once we get into the map here, I'm really going to see, I doubt we're going to see a mirror comp, but both of these teams probably have their style of play, and both of these teams are going to try to assert their style of play into this first map. And if they can do that, if they're successful on that, that sets the tone for the rest of the night for the team.
Yeah, it sure does. And both teams have a few flex players who are kind of the all-stars of their team. We regularly see them getting MVPs, not just this season, but last season. So it'll be interesting to see which roles they come out on.
Well, that does make it interesting. If you do have some flex players and they can adapt from map to map, and when we're playing in the plat low diamond area here, it's quite possible you're gonna have these, they're specialists in two or three or four heroes that cross a couple of different roles. So going into a map that favors one of their competitions, I could see a lineup definitely changing. You could have a tank going to support, or even having DPS flex into the tank role. So, um, and as both teams right now are still undergoing discussions, so we know that they're putting a lot of thought. There's not a hey, we've already laid this out. So if they're having an in-depth discussion at this point, there's got to be hey, here, how do we want to tackle this team? How do we want to get a win out of tonight?
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully, we'll have these bans coming in just a moment. We're pushing up on that line where teams have to start using pauses if they want to discuss any longer. So, hopefully, any moment now, we'll get these bans and kind of see what they're thinking going into Ilios.
Yeah, and when you run the bands, are you going to both teams are going, are you going to tackle your strengths like, hey, we want to run this comp and we want to take away as much of the hindrances and annoyances that hinder our comp, or do you go after the other team? The other team is a brawl team, a rush team, a dive team. Then you start going after their strengths. So right now it looks like we've got our first ban on the board here. Vendetta, they said.
Yep, looks like Vendetta will be the first ban. It is going to be interesting, though. I expect for these two teams in particular, they're going to need to ban based off of what comps they do or don't want to see on the map, and probably a bit less banning for a specific player because both teams do have some pretty solid flex players that makes it easier to work around, like let's say a targeted tank ban or something like that.
Right. And with you, to a degree, you go with your comfort picks. If you don't want to have to constantly be protecting your back line, yeah, it's taking away Vendetta is great. Vendetta is the old school Doomfist DPS of days of yore, Overwatch 1. And having this hero come into your back line where you immediately have to turn and peel and protect your supports or your DPS, or they're sent back to the spawn point. That may be just a headache that you just don't want to deal with tonight.
Oh, for sure. We'll have to see what kind of specialists we have this evening. I mean, me personally, don't mind the Vendetta too terribly much, but if you don't have a strong, dedicated, cast or somber player or something like that, dealing with her can be a little bit of a hassle. If you're trying to run something else.
Right. We've got Sigma. Sigma trying to come up.
Second ban
Freakwatch.
coming in, Domina right out the gate.
Yeah. So we got two of the new heroes, not totally unexpected, as Overwatch tends to slightly, the conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat theory land here. They're gonna be slightly overtuned, or just everybody doesn't quite know how to handle them on a nuanced level, on a team level, and it's a wild card you just don't want to deal with. So yeah, I think Vendetta and Domino are both. These are very common picks, band picks on ladder. So not unexpected to see that here. So with bands out of the way, we should be heading into our first map, and we get to see what compositions both of these teams are going to be attacking Ilios with. Now we got the lineups coming in. And tonight, everybody, thank Mighty Owl. She's taking the time tonight to do all of the production. And always reach out to the production people. It tends to be a thankless job, but they are doing everything that you get to see and hear. The scores, taking care of that. Uh, it can be a very task-oriented job that tends to be thankless.
At times, yeah, there's actually quite a lot of work that goes into getting all these resources set up between every single game, and then even more between season and season. But thankfully, Mighty Owl takes the lead on most of that, and we get some pretty solid updates every season. That being said, for anybody watching, if you want to be a part of LFGS and the production team, we do allow people to come in and guest cast with us. You know, spread your wings a little bit, experiment.
Yeah, I always encourage production people, put your spin on it. You know, bring your graphics how you want it to look. Make it yours. You know, casters have their own styles. Production people should have their own styles. So both teams here are getting ready. The lineups are getting finalized here.
Yep, looks like we finally got both lineups. We're just waiting from the R. We'll be into map 1.
So PSI, I mean, we're a couple weeks into the new season. We've got all these newer heroes here. Who do you expect to see on the field here that's new? I mean, are we going to see the new support here? We're going to see the new DPS hero show up tonight?
Out of the new heroes, I think I would mostly expect to see Domina and Jetpack Cat. We've seen quite a lot of both of those, you know, both in the matches and in competitive around these ranks as well. You know, I personally think that both of the new DPS are decently solid. You know, they don't feel too terribly overtuned. I think it's probably just a bit of needing to learn how to optimize your play for their particular play styles. You know, when I'm a big Onron fan personally, but you know, if you're a master with a Genji blade, then you know there's a little bit of, well, do you justify switching over to the new hero when you're already, you know, pretty confident at a different flanker class?
Looking for gold season. Week 7. Kickoff. Ilios. Odyssey and Freakwatch. Here we go. Team selections on the board right now. As we wait to assemble their heroes. Couple players tonight I am going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking at King Julian. He seems to be a very streaky player that I've seen.
It looks like he will be on DPS this evening. We haven't seen the past couple of weeks flexing between DPS and tank pretty readily.
All right, so both of these comps hold. You know, we're looking at very dive-oriented teams here. We've got Diva on one side, and we've got Choco Crispy jumping in on Winton.
I was going to say, interesting pick with the sim. It looks like we're switching over to Tracer, so it will be full dive versus full dive.
With a slight variation on Venture. Right now, both teams, neither one's really getting an advantage. King Julian getting that pick on Tracer, though, that's going to be both big. But Lucio's trying to back cap a little bit here.
That's right, they're just, looks like Odyssey is going to have the first cap. Freakwatch just a little low on resources to contest.
Yeah, right now they are definitely trying to contest, but with Choco Crispy barely hanging in on his health, he doesn't have a lot of options to, other than just sit on the point, but they do flip it, and at 20%, that's a great flip, so.
Oh, for sure. I'm honestly very surprised that Odyssey didn't stay in and try to push that percentage further.
I was surprised at that as well. Yeah, I think they could easily push that.
Oh, and Odyssey's going to lose the mech. That's going to spell a reset for Odyssey.
All right, well that's going to take it's going to take Freakwatch up to at least the 50 to 60%. So they're going to be standing here pretty good area. We've got Diva rolling up on 85%. A little behind on the, I think they're a little behind on where they want to be alt-wise. So they're probably just going to do a little poking here, look and see if they can't get a little hit that they can dive on.
A little bit, but we did have Lucky swap heroes during that first fight and already coming up on their ults.
Indeed, we've got Diva Bomb coming up and Freya, so. And getting back into the point with Venture, grinding out the last few percentage here, but indeed,
it's a pretty solid start.
Yep. Now the cards are exactly flipped around here. And they did it without any ult usage. This was great for them. They didn't have to hard commit. They just straight up did it old school style.
Yeah, we're expecting to see a lot of ults this fight. We have 9 ults on the table.
And here they come pouring out. A little late on the Diva Bomb there. I was expecting that to come in early.
Little late. Freakwatch gets 2 pickoffs though. This should just be a cleanup for them at this point.
Yeah, Freakwatch is in great position right now. They've been able to dominate not only the engagements, but they've been the aggressor of both of these teams so far, and that's let them dictate a lot of these fights.
Oh, for sure. Odyssey back very quickly though, not giving the Freakwatch respawns any time to get back. And it's going to be another flip.
But as we expected, these teams are very close. We're 88% right now with 60% and climbing. So what tools we got? We got Tracer, we got Sound Barrier, and they got a lot of tools to hold this point. We're gonna need to see.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking to see that Venture ult come in on the point here.
Yep,
and here it is.
I'm waiting for Winston to jump in there because he's kind
It's
of the
one
card
and the
that's gonna
D-Neck.
hold
That's
it.
going to end up being number 2.
Ooh, this is
Freakwatch will
gonna
get
be
the
tough.
flip. Are they going to be able to make it back in time though?
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be real tough for them because with Winston and his ult in pocket,
Real
he's,
tough. Sombra might have this. And Sombra does get the touch for Odyssey.
Oh, missed time Sound Barrier. That could have.
Oh, and it is a 4v4, 4v3. It's so close. Oh, that mech's going to seal it, though. Looks like Freakwatch is going to take map 1.
Indeed, Freakwatch going up 1-0 on Elios here. And, you know, I think they're doing it really well. One, they're not throwing away their ults. And I'm seeing better aggression out of them. And that's allowing them to dictate these fights and take advantage of some of the positional errors and get these little bit of picks. And they're not having to commit ults to try and save fights. So this is so far looking really good for them. No changes to either team here. Well, we do have a sim coming in. Do have the sim.
Yeah,
coming
they did the TP out and swapped the Tracer. It looks like they're doing the same thing.
Doing the same thing. Not quite a mirror watch, but
yeah, Odyssey's starting on the Freya this time. They seem to like that pick a bit better than the Sojourn they rolled out on first map.
yeah, Freya is strong here on this map. A lot of good sight lines.
See, Freakwatch really controlling the point space. Let's see if Odyssey's able to get in before they get that first cap.
Yeah, it's going to be up to
Oh,
Fearless.
they don't even contest.
Nope. I was saying it's going to be up to Fearless. He had to have more of an impact in their back line, and he just wasn't quite getting what he was going for. And as a consequence, they never had to turn around. But now it's oh, this is a critical fight for them to win. With this fight, they're able to take it up to 65% now without too much of an issue. And Odyssey's on their heels a little bit here. They need to get Daphne back in mech, though, for anything to happen.
Just a bit. King Julian going down. This may be their chance.
Yeah, I'm looking, like I said, I'm looking at Fearless to come up with a good tracer pressure.
Oh, mech is low. Let's see if they can hold on. They do get the flip going over to Odyssey.
Can they hold it? Can they hold it?
They get the flip, but don't get to take it for very long.
Yeah, costly though. I think Daphne would like to have that ult back. So we're going to be 75% rolling in at 11% here, so they're going to have to be aggressive. They just do not have time to kind of wait. They've got to go. And indeed, Freya opens it up.
That bell just does so much work.
Oh yeah, but they got to keep an eye on that clock. And I know the fights are important, but at the same time,
10 seconds left, but that's 2 down for Odyssey. This is going to have to be one heck of a stall. They do manage to get Punisher, but I just don't think that's going to be enough.
I don't. Now if Daphne can play cagey, keep the fight going, but as right now both teams are battling it out, but one's at 99 and one's at 10. One has
a scrappy fight for sure. It honestly could go either way. Oh, and unfortunately, we have 3 going down for Odyssey, and that's going to give map 1 to Freakwatch.
Yes. Freakwatch going up 1-0 here. And remind us, we are in a best of 5 series?
It is first to 3.
First to 3.
Special delivery.
So we're going to be rolling into hybrid as our next selection, and now both teams can kind of calm down a little bit, have a talk, and I don't see Odyssey trying to outdive Freakwatch. I don't see that as a win condition for them. Right now, Freakwatch just has that little bit better execution on the whole package as it is. So could we be seeing a little bit of first game jitters from Odyssey? Very possible. And with that, going into hybrid, it's a little slower pace, and I think I would definitely be changing up the team comps. Maybe going, something a little brawly, little bit more rush comp to maybe take advantage of a little slower pace game here, because with the dive, what I was seeing is that they weren't getting a lot. They had a lot of pressure on the front, but they weren't getting a lot of annoyance, distractions in the back line. And as a result of that, Freakwatch never really had to turn around and peel. They never really had to kind of worry about a flank all that much. So
it definitely seems like Freakwatch is the more offensive team here. When we were watching, even the timing on when the ults were coming in, their engages happened all at once, which is what you want to see with a good dive. And they did seem to be, putting that together a little bit better as far as their different ability usages into when the entire team just tried to collapse on Odyssey. But looking at who our stars are looking like so far, King Julian did so much work on that tracer, that map, that if I'm Odyssey Scylla, I'm looking for them to try to find a way to shut down that tracer, because if they can keep that punishment off of their own line, they probably stand a bit better chance of surviving.
Yeah, indeed. And that's a little bit of slower pace. Like I said, you take away, okay, Freakwatch coming in with a little bit better team coordination. Okay, well let's slow it down a little bit. We don't have to travel in the fast lane. We could be in the HOV lane with the bus. And so both teams here are uh, it's a guideline. Yeah, it's a guideline. Best
Prevent the
practices, if you
Ajax
will.
in official matches. Sorry, not Ajax. The Sata Pain.
All right. But waiting on both teams so far here. But Odyssey, they did employ the Freya. I didn't see as much value out of the Freya as I was hoping. I thought there was going to be a little bit more pressure on the Winston from the Freya, and that didn't quite materialize as expected. So we'll see if Odyssey go to their coach, go to the players, make some adjustments here. Clearly, they've shown that they can compete with Freakwatch. They were able to flip the point multiple times. They were able to get kills multiple times. Just were not able to put the whole package together to take Helios, and that's where they find themselves down 1-0 right now. And so again, where both teams are looking for map pick or hero ban. And they're discussing, well, of course we always defer to the rule book to sort out these little things here. Or one team, you've got 30 seconds to give me your bans. If you don't, you get none. You get no bans, and the team that does, they get theirs. So
It does look like they're going to go with a map pick instead of first ban. We have Dorado, map 2.
all right, Dorado. A map that is not near and dear to my heart. I am not a fan of the first point.
I'm 100% with you there.
All right, so they're definitely targeting Daphne on Diva, with Freakwatch coming out with Diva as their pick. And now we're going to be waiting on Odyssey's hero ban. Insert Jeopardy music here.
It may end up being one of those maps where we have to enforce the 60-second pick time.
Right.
It keeps going for too much longer.
The first time, the first map, first jitters, okay. But we're in the second map. We need to move these things along. But Dorado does present a lot of the same, you know, style of play. So, okay, so the Punishers take their Freakwatch is choosing to defend, and Odyssey is choosing to take Brig out of the mix. So we've got two bans. We've got Freakwatch banning Diva, and we've got Odyssey banning Brig, with Freakwatch defending first round.
I would fully expect then Odyssey is looking to run dive again here. I wouldn't be surprised if Freakwatch was as well and just trying to take out that Diva. You know, that can be a bit of a tough matchup for a Winston.
I was, you know, I mean, you just played their Diva. You just went 2-0. Why stop the other team from making that mistake? Could this be a blessing in disguise for Odyssey, forcing them into maybe a pick that maybe in their eyes is slightly less ideal, but once they get it down to putting it into Dorado, could be more effective? Right,
definitely could. It would be interesting to see some poke come out on this map, though, especially if they're trying to run that Freya. She does have a decent bit of versatility over all 3 points here.
Right, and we've got Daphne main tank coming out for Omega Dago. So slight adjustment on the lineup for Odyssey. But I would agree with you. Both of these teams seem very comfortable running dive. Dorado certainly can facilitate dive on first point. Would not shock me at all if both of these teams kind of set up that way. But as they say, this is why we play the game. Let's see what both of these teams can come up with. Both teams have indicated they are ready.
Traveling to Dorado. Initiating match.
All right, we're counting down here to team compositions. What are your cards, teams? What are we throwing out there? No surprise from Freakwatch. They're sticking with the Winston Tracer kind of venture, kind of what we saw them run on Ilios, you know, and that's probably
basically
a good
the same lineup.
Yeah, same lineup, same composition. But we definitely have some changes on Odyssey side.
Yeah, a few variations for sure. You know, we haven't seen too terribly much.
Well, the biggest change that we've got for Odyssey is Omega Dogo came in for Daphne, which is Diva, so Lucky is now the tank running Hazard.
Immediately taking that front high ground from them.
And we've got King Julian just kind of sitting off to the side.
Oh, Lucky might be in trouble here. It is a trade, though, 4v4.
Yeah, Julian's going in, trying to do that pressure on the back line. Keep that distraction going. Whether he's going to make it out alive or not, yeah, that was one-way trip for King Julian, though. But right now, Odyssey does advance through the choke.
A great first push by Odyssey. Honestly, probably the hardest part at first, and they blew through it in the first fight.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Maybe they have something going with these comp changes.
I think so. I think this if they can do a really good, they're doing a great push right now. This is almost cleanup stage for them. As Odyssey is now with A switch to Lucky over to Hazard. Able to put a ton of pressure on Freakwatch through the first stage, already through the choke. Almost trying to get up into the cleanup stage to get it through first stage here.
An interesting decision on the ults there. I do understand wanting to get the cap in.
Well,
I think Odyssey had this cleaned up already.
I think it was okay. You know, you invest, and the payoff was you got first point. You secured it. You keep the momentum going. You keep the comms going. You keep the team spirit going.
I mean, secure it, and Omega's at almost 40% on the next one already.
Yeah, so he's rock and rolling right now on Freya. This is a, dare I say it, this is a whole different Odyssey team.
Is for sure. It looks like Freakwatch is going to secure that high ground from them, though. King Julian getting the first pick, 5v4.
And Lucky's doing a tremendous amount of pressure right now. He's trying to get onto Sir Slim on Lucio.
Oh, and Chaco goes down. That's going to make it tough for Freakwatch to continue to hold this space here.
Odyssey's coming after the high ground with a vengeance. And again, Hazard jumping uncontested constantly to their back line. And right now, Choco Crispy, he's just got to wait for his team to reset a little bit here.
Picked off early, but we do have a swap from Freakwatch. King Julian going from the Tracer over the Sojourn.
Yeah, and then we had Fast Feet kind of pull the goalie. He got off card and let Fearless kind of jump back on Genji to push the card around. But they're getting some really great uncontested mileage here on this card. So Odyssey is doing a great job of just keeping Freakwatch on their heels constantly, so they can't even really contest the card. Oh,
that's going to be a great ult from the Hazard. That's going to be an easy 2 secured. Blade comes in. One goes down. King Julian goes down.
Desperation sound barrier there, but I don't think it's going to change the outcome here too much.
Good.
We've got the Calvaries coming in.
Oh, Omega's so low.
Need a big play.
Watch Chopper looking at him.
They've got the Freakwatch has the cavalry showing up. They've got reinforcements are here.
Yeah, maybe that beat worked out. They have managed to get this re-engage.
It is definitely a football fight right now. It is coming down to individual play, and Lucky goes down, the big linchpin of the new Odyssey team composition on tackling that, and Freakwatch holds.
And what a scrappy fight, but Freakwatch pulled it out.
That's what they needed. They needed to get that stop because the momentum was so much on Odyssey side that they just needed to take a breather here. So both teams kind of resetting.
Yeah, we do have both DPS ults on the Freakwatch side, though. See if they can get those cycled in early enough to keep
we've got
Odyssey
both,
from getting a foothold.
Odyssey both flanking both DPS. I mean, they're all on the right side there with Freya. I don't know if she's being effective, but she's definitely being, they're getting their attention. So now it's going to be up to Lucky to go back to spawn, and I believe, honestly, barring some insane individual play here, I think both teams are going to be reset.
Yeah, that's going to have to be a back out. You know, maybe you save it when one's down, but the second is just not going to do it. Especially with that defender spawn advantage.
I think what we're seeing right here, both of these teams are very momentum-driven teams. You know, and you play that knife's edge. Hey, once you get the ball rolling, you get it rolling. But if you push it a little bit too far, and but Lucky is definitely looking to be the linchpin, and he has his ult right now. I am looking for Lucky to be using his ult.
And they're all grouped up on this high ground. This would be a fantastic place to knock them out. Oh, unfortunately, Lucky goes down. Doesn't get a chance to use it. So does Chaco. This is still a 4v4. It's anybody's
both
fight.
teams traded out. We got sound barriers coming out, so they're committing to the sustain at this point. King Julian
That's the both beats out. Odyssey giving him some space while that wears off.
All right, Choco back in play. Lucky switching over to Doofus just to get back to the point in time. We're down to OT. It is down to individual play time here. I think this is just a messy furball. And Lucky can't leave the card. Yeah, there goes the blade.
Does look like Freakwatch is going to be able to hold him here
Yes.
on streets.
What started as a very promising Odyssey push through first stage, almost all the way to end of second stage, and then they pressed it just a little bit too much. Lucky is the linchpin of their composition, and with him going down repeatedly on the initial push and then on the follow-up, they just didn't seem to reset, or either Lucky's overcommitting or he's not communicating to his team. His supports aren't giving him the sustain that he needs to kind of dictate the tempo. Odyssey just was not able to kind of cash in, hit lightning in a bottle twice here to secure that second point. So flipping the teams, Odyssey on defense. Now, Odyssey did so good on stage one here. If they can pull out a good hold, this would be a very even match.
Oh, for sure. Well, and I think too, we have to give some credit to Freakwatch's support line here. You know, we had a lot of scrappy fights, but when you looked at that difference, you know, we talk about Lucky being the linchpin for Odyssey. Chaco had so much room to work because he was full health constantly. You know, it didn't matter what they put into him; made it really tough to secure those kills against Freakwatch.
And with that, out they come.
It's time to spin.
And with Lucky on Doomfist.
Perfection in flight.
And King
That's
Julian.
a quick first pick by Julian.
First
And right back
pick.
to spawn. Doesn't look like he wants to stay on the Widow. Oh, that's 3. That's gonna be first.
That's not what Odyssey wanted to see. And that hats off to King Julian though. That was a super
That was
critical
a great
first
push.
pick.
We really need to see Lucky get out here. It looks like they are gonna be okay. Odyssey will have another attempt to stop them on first.
Uh-oh, the payload's moving.
Lucky gets
Oh,
off
and that's a
the
great first pick.
Yeah, now's their chance. They got to stop this advance. Don't overextend. Play it cool. You're up. Keep the comms rolling. King Julian though, again, he's
Leveling the
coming up
playing
with
field.
these clutch plays.
Fearless, they are trading bar. Are they even gonna get the touch? It does look like Fearless barely gets in, but the team just doesn't commit.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of resources, so now it's all on the second stage. No adjustments. Neither team here is making any adjustments. It's ride or die time, I think, with these team comps.
Yeah. I do like the Doom here on second. It does make it very difficult to try to take this high ground when you're getting knocked off over and over again.
And you're right. And it's critical for Odyssey to understand. You don't need to get killed. You just need to kill time. That's what you need to kill. Don't overextend. Don't go, maybe you could get that confirm that kill. But at the end of the day, spawn point's right there. You really just need to kill time.
Yeah,
Play it
definitely a
safe.
time game. You only got to win one fight, and that's 4 minutes from now.
Correct. Watch those cooldowns. Because we do have ult cycles coming up. It's going to be a little bit on Freakwatch here to kind of... Because they're kind of... Freakwatch is kind of getting separated out a little bit. And Lucky goes down. I was going to say Lucky's in danger because he was getting kind of separated out from the team. But the cart's not moving a lot. They
Oh,
do
Chaco goes down too. This actually might be
this would be a good
tradable for
recontest
Odyssey.
This would be a good recontest for them. Now you gotta hunt. You gotta hunt kills. You don't want to trade out here. You gotta be aggressive. Punisher goes down, and main thing, Chocolate Crispy's down. So
Trading 2 for 2. Does seem like Odyssey has the upper hand at the moment.
they do have the upper hand, but it's a tenuous hold. It's a tenuous hold. And they're rolling into a 3-minute hold, so we know we have another ult cycle coming through.
And they do manage to hold, but not without some of their own losses.
Yeah, well, what I'm looking for is Lucky has to be attentive to his health and his positioning. Because what's getting him into trouble is he's going too deep, and his supports really struggle to keep up with him.
Oh, and Fast Feet goes down.
Now they need to get a trade here pretty quick. Yeah, this is good.
That blade coming in, that's exactly what they need. Level the playing field.
They needed to. Yep.
It is a 3v3. Odyssey managing to clean that up. That was such a close fight too.
This is great. Choco was gonna go back to spawn. Let him live for a little bit. That extra 10 seconds off the clock. Smart play. So what do we got? We got Choco Crispy rolling up on his ult. I think this is going to be another dry run for them. There's no need. 1 minute 40 on the clock, and they don't have to push it that far.
Yeah, one solid fight win. They should have this cap.
One fight.
Yeah, we're trying to get these support ults online if we're Freakwatch.
Ooh, Fast Feet had you burn his ult. Right now, we've got individual ults coming off trying to save the point, but Choco's in the back line.
Freakwatch managing to pull off the win there. Looks like they are swapping Juno to try to get back a little bit quicker.
It's going to be...
so close. It looks like Genji might have to touch, and he does.
Genji can touch, but he's got to stay alive. He's got to contribute to this fight. He's got to touch.
The rest of the team manages to make it back in 1-1. It's a 4v4.
All right. Whoa, this is looking good.
That's two more going down from Freakwatch. Odyssey doing great here. That's gonna be clean up.
Great recontest. Great recontest. They are in it. 20 seconds left. It's gonna be a fight in OT on the cart. What tools do they got to work with? On Odyssey's side, brush. That's about it. Choco Crispy, King Julian. We gotta watch for King Julian. If he's able to roll in and get a plant,
we gotta get a good pulse coming in here.
Fight's unfolding here. Advantage. Odyssey ever so slightly.
This can be tough for Freakwatch without their Juno. They're going to be very low on sustain once the speed runs out. But Enfer goes down. Both teams operating on Lucio. Oh, what a
Odyssey.
hold from Odyssey. Every single fight. Well earned, very scrappy.
Well, very scrappy. That is the term for that fight, top to bottom, scrappy. Because we saw a lot of individual plays. We saw King Julian coming in. We saw Genji coming in and making these critical plays that I don't think they're team organized. I think these are just solid individuals knowing that they can have a huge impact right now, and they took advantage of it. So yeah, Odyssey squaring up the score 1-1.
For sure. And an interesting swap over from map one. You know, we saw both teams trying to play a very controlled dive on map one, and then we go into Dorado, and it looks like we're playing deathmatch the whole game. It was tough to tell who was going to win any given fight.
It it was, and I think it predicated on Lucky. He set the tempo, he set the engagements. It got him into trouble a couple of times. He overextended. That took him out of the fight. Odyssey had to really kind of backpedal and do some resets. But when it counted, Lucky was in the fight. He stayed around the cart and he was really making himself a presence known. And he didn't go down. And like you said, both teams had to survive off the Lucios, and Odyssey was able to just do that a little bit better. So both teams have drawn blood. Both teams know that they got to respect. So coming into the next map choice here, what do we got coming in for the next round? Why don't we take a little break there and I could check in and I got a feeling it'll probably run a little longer than 5 if the history of these teams are anything. All right.
Hello, LFGS. We're back from our 5-minute bio break, and it looks like we're getting map picks decided, and we'll then have hero bans and roster lock. So I'll leave it up to my casters, Cajun Wise Guy and PSI.
And we're going to be getting back into this slugfest, both teams. Just to kind of recap, we are 1-1. We are tied up. Both teams have given each other black eyes. Freakwatch taking Ilios, but Odyssey responding on Dorado with a slight. Odyssey did do a slight change up to their team, having Lucky come in for Daphne and running the hazard, and then finding success on Doomfist for Odyssey. So, going to be going into the next map selections here, and with both of these teams having, Freakwatch was really, Choco Crispy's really been committed to the Winston so far this evening. We're going to be seeing how they respond on Blizzard World. And is Odyssey going to be going after Choco Crispy at this point? At this point, I think as a team, I would. He's having a big impact, outsized impact. So now Choco probably could definitely swap something, but so far his Winston has been the bane of Odyssey's existence here. So it's going to be more of a strategic side, I think, on Odyssey. Whereas Freakwatch, could Dorado have been the one that got away? Is that their team comps going right now? Are they kind of in the back of their minds going, we had this win. We were up 4 minutes rolling into second point. We had all the time. What went wrong? Especially that first dominant stage with King Julian jumping up with the Widow, instant pick, and then switching over to Sojourn and able to have an outsized impact on that route. So I think Freakwatch might have a little bit of that thought in their head. Hey, this one got away from us. What can we do to get back? Because and there may not be a lot of adjustment. It may be just, hey, you know what? They made some good plays. Like we said, PSI pointed out earlier, the supports are playing really well on both sides here, and both teams had to survive off the Lucio. And I can tell you both Lucios were probably slamming that sound barrier as quick and as hard as they could in that final overtime fight on the cart.
It'll be interesting to see if they decide to stay with Dive here on Blizzard World. It's definitely runnable
It's
on
runnable,
Blizzard
yeah.
World, but we
Yeah,
do see a lot of poke. There's a lot of opportunity, and if Julian's primed to take up that Widow mantle, I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see them go that route.
Yeah, I think it's up to Odyssey. They got the last win. They've got the momentum. And as we saw, Odyssey is, to me, they seem to be a little bit of a streaky team. They're streaky. Once they get things going, man, they roll. But then they kind of stumble. And then if they can recover and get back into the fight, they can get back on that horse. So it's up to Odyssey here to kind of take away some of Freakwatch's tools. And personally, I think I would go after King Julian. Man, his Sojourn has been, he's been putting in some work.
I mean,
that's
definitely
mine.
a mantle. Definitely mantle for Freakwatch, as far as having Julian run on the DPS line. Now, Odyssey looks like they're trying to prevent them from running their same comp they've been running so far. We have a Winston ban coming from Odyssey, so we know for a fact we won't see that at this round.
All right,
So does he have
they-
another dive tank in the bag?
Yeah, so
Or are we going to be seeing some comp changes?
they're going after Choco. Yep, they're like, we're tired. We're tired of your Winston. We're tired of the shenanigans.
You know, I'm sure they wouldn't mind getting off the dive and maybe not having to deal with Julian's Tracer anymore. But I mean, is it worth losing having to deal with the Tracer if you're having to deal with the Widow instead?
Ooh, the damned
I don't know
you
if I'd
do,
make
damned
that
if you
trade.
don't choice.
A tough call.
All right, if you're the coach for Odyssey, I agree. I think, I'm saying King Julian and Chaco. I think those are the two biggest win conditions that I see on Freakwatch. I just see them. They're able to make those plays. One, King Julian just with the reaching out and able to just at times punch out somebody across the map. And then Chaco being able to, his strength is coming into the back line, identifying especially the supports for Odyssey and really putting a lot of pressure on them. And so to me, those are the two big heavy hitters right now with Freakwatch. Not taking anything away from the supports. Like you said, the supports are giving Chaco the ability to be the tip of the spear, to get out there and really kind of set the game that Chaco wants to play. So Odyssey taking the Winston away, yeah, all right. I agree with that.
And then Freakwatch subsequently deciding to ban the Freya. Seems like they've had enough of that as well.
Yeah. So one
I
team going
don't
for
know,
the
but-
tank and one team going for the DPS.
You know, if I'm on Odyssey, at this point I'm probably looking for how do we soak this dive. I mean, Winston Tracer is doing so much work. Now of course they took the Winston out of the picture there, but if they still want to dive, they can run Diva, they can run Hazard, they have other choices. They can run Ball. So, if they're struggling to live against this dive, or maybe their best case scenario is the even trade. What can we do to soak this dive, not lose our back line, and then get Lucky the resources they need to be able to take those aggressive plays a little more easily.
Yeah, because one thing that we have seen, you're right, you picked up right on it, is Chaco's got a better cooldown usage, straight up. Lucky got himself into trouble a couple of times. He went a little bit too deep, didn't have the cooldowns he wanted, and supports really weren't able to bail him out of some of those extended positions. So, but
And if the supports had the space, it probably works. But I mean, when your supports are pushed so far back, they're on a different point from you. It's a little tough to give you that help you need.
Yeah, and that comes down to team comps. You got to be telling your tank that, hey, you got to come back a little bit, control the aggression. But Blizzard,
Let's see what we got.
We're even 1-1, and
Looks like complete swap. Both teams were getting our poke battle.
we got a whole new map. We got a whole different lineup.
Now the question is that this next upcoming fight, Omega Dago and King Julian, who's getting the drop on the other one?
And we did see Daphne's come back in now, and Lucky's gone back over off tank back to DPS. So that's another key thing here for this adjustment. Here we go. Both teams setting up a King Julian, of course, looking for that quick pick on the Widow, and certainly
Right back off a Widow.
yeah, that's the gamble you take. Hey, invest a couple of seconds. If you can get one, great. But didn't pan out, so
With this line, Omega might actually have the space they need to get a lot of work done. I mean, Sojourn can do some rails, but it's going to be a little tougher not having a hit scan at all trying to deal with that Echo.
and with Daphne up on that high ground, and they got pushed off a little bit, rotating back to point right now. They're in the scrap and both teams playing a little slow. They're playing cagey here. Neither team has really... Oh, there, the Mega's going down from King Julian. What we marked before, King Julian can reach out and touch somebody and knock a DPS out. And
that's both DPS. This should be a Freakwatch cap here. There's just no way. Odyssey either has to get out before they stagger or take it. Oh, that's another two. I don't think they're going to be able to get the touch, but they at least even it out.
Yeah, they're going to have... Yeah, they should give themselves some breathing room here for second stage.
Yeah, that's at least a good stabilization from Odyssey there. You know, not giving Freakwatch the first half of Streets for free. Then this choke can be really oppressive, so it's important that they were able to hold this.
Right now, Freakwatch is trying to push it through as quick as possible, so Odyssey not really able to do much. They're going to have to hold the high ground here and start to play the clock, really. Omega Togo,
that was so close.
So close. He's got it. That's the thing they got to watch for. Not expecting that. Got Daphne a little isolated on the cart though. So
little isolated, but it looks like this is turning out like Dorado, where it's just kind of a death match all over the place. Yeah, they may be spread out, but so is the other team.
And Omega is really doing a good, Omega's playing that fine line. He's holding that flank, but he's just a little DPS. He ain't got no... All right, he's committing at this point.
Noped out of that engagement. He saw the death knocking on his door. Got Beat coming in, see if they can engage on this.
He could isolate Chaco.
So close on Chubb, they may be able to get a pick here.
They gotta be careful.
Tank goes down.
This is where you can't chase butterflies, even though it may be tempting to go chase that kill. The spawn's right there. If you overcommit, you got a long walk of shame to get back. But right now, both teams are resetting, so this is...
Great hold by Odyssey. It looked like they were just going to give the cart progress for free, but we're right back at the choke again.
That's what I warned Omega. You're just a little DPS. You can't commit too hard to that.
Got
flank.
Two in the flux.
Now Odyssey is just kind of on their heels right now. They've just got to reset, consolidate, give space. Give space. Let Omega get back into the fight.
For sure, we do have a slight ult advantage from Freakwatch. Although they do lose too early. Great Sojourn ult from Lucky.
Days like this never get old.
All right, so Odyssey doing a great job here on second stage so far. Burning the clock. Little slip-ups here and there, but no major slip-ups. Yeah. Just individuals, and the team's able to reset and able to recover from that. So now it's kind of getting down to Freakwatch.
It is. That did look like an intentional dry fight last fight, so I'll be interested to see. They'll need to commit on this fight.
Yeah, King Julian's got. They're waiting for him. Venture, the DPS ults I think are going to be committed here. They're staging. They want high ground so bad.
Yep, the rail from Julian has to back. They're so low.
Yeah, he's.
No picks. They are going to get some cart progress. Both Kyrie ults coming in.
Being real messy. It's individual play right now. With Lucky holding up there with Sojourn too. Yeah, he's.
Anyway, Chaco down. That's going to be tough for Freakwatch to continue. They really need to try to get out now if they can. I don't know if they're going to be able to.
Yeah, they're isolated. They're in trouble right now because it's 5v3 on that flank there.
Oh, they get so lucky they didn't lose more people than that.
But they lost a good 30 seconds on that. That was a reset. Sure. That the VOD review may say, "Hey, we got to call the fights over a little quicker."
We are going to see a swap from Soj over to Cassidy. I think they're going to try to deal with that Echo a bit more.
And, you know, Omega has settled in, you know, had little missteps, but I think he's found his rhythm on the second stage here. And indeed, going in, getting a great ult, getting 2 picks. We're down to the final 30.
Well, there's going to be one last fight for Freakwatch.
Yeah, Freakwatch is sent back to spawn, looking for that reset. What tools do they got to work with?
This is going to be tough. They're going to be coming in with just the Venture ult, and they have 3 on the side of Odyssey. Oh, and Chubb goes down immediately. That's some great focus fire from Odyssey. And it does look like this will be a cleanup. Odyssey's going to hold second.
Rough first point. Excellent second stage. Excellent second stage.
Switching sides.
I mean, realistically, from what we've seen so far, at this point, it's anybody's game. Every single fight could go either way at any point.
And yeah, wow, both of these teams have their strengths. And I'm seeing Odyssey, though. Odyssey, either they're getting a little bit more practice at it where they can lose. They can have a DPS not be in the fight. They can have, you know, one player down and they're falling back. They're giving space. They're saying, hey, whoa. We're not going to fall apart here just because we're down one. Whereas Freakwatch, man, they're they go all in, you know, and so and sometimes their resets just aren't as clean, and they're really relying on King Julian, I think, to kind of get some of these picks, because as we called it earlier, those DPS ults had to come out and they had to get value on that and to secure that high ground. Just did not pan out. They had the plan. The execution just wasn't there. Odyssey was able to counter. King Julian was knocked down to nothing. And so now here you are, defending a very short hold.
You have some very different comps coming out from Odyssey here. Looks like we're going to see some jetpack shenanigans. Flying Ryan straight in.
Why have a Winston when you can have a Ryan with a cat?
It's a new era of dive. And you know, it kind of works.
It's cheeky. It is cheeky. But now they just got to settle down. They got to settle down. You know, they got the advantage. They got to get Omega kind of healed up a little bit here.
It's only one's fight. You know, they're getting progress, but they are fighting for resources.
Yeah, Daphne is trying to stay in there. Going against a Ram as Ryan, you know, that's
Freakwatch in control for the moment, but probably just for the moment.
Mischarge, and they're putting a lot of pressure on Choco right now.
Yeah, that'll be the cleanup. Odyssey will get their cap.
Still great time. Five minutes.
And we only have to push not even halfway through streets in 5 minutes. But I mean we saw the same the other way around. I mean, the Freakwatch could hold them here at the gates.
So we've got the catnip cat in play, taking the Rhine, throwing our Rhine into dive, whether he wants to or not. He's going for a ride.
Didn't quite get the carry on that one.
But what we're seeing is what Odyssey wants. Odyssey wants control of this high ground, you know, and they're being a little, you know, some of Daphne's charges have not connected, but we know what they want now. So Odyssey back to reset. We're going to see if they make any adjustments. Nope, they're still committed. They're still committed to this style. And Freakwatch, though, rolling up on a lot of ults here, so...
Rolling up on... We really do need to see the Rhine get tossed in and get some value from a charge or something.
Yeah, one of these
it's definitely a tough
connects.
matchup to play Rhine into this.
We're coming down.
And getting the
345.
charge on Julian. Are they
Freakwatch
going
has
to get? Are
gotta
they going
commit
to
to the cart.
touch?
They
I don't
gotta
know if
commit
they
to the cart. They
noticed.
gotta commit to the cart.
They didn't touch.
Odyssey takes it. I think
And
that
the
was a
win,
little
I
bit
mean,
of
E-
clock
even that
mismanagement
fight
there.
of the game.
could have gone either way.
Yeah, I think this one. Now we're back to the books. I think you're going to see Freakwatch make more adjustments now because now they're down one, and they had a little bit of a misstep. They had tools, but they just let the cart get away from them. And cart is clock management. You know, Reaper was able to push that cart almost uncontested along the bottom while they kind of did a feint push across the top. Very smart. Got them a lot of free space. And so by the time they realized that the cart was right there, it was almost too late for them to and in fact it was too late. They did not react as well as they should have. So right now Odyssey goes up 2-1. Match point. Odyssey. So we
I
go
do
through
like to see the innovation and the funny comp changes come out. You know, people I think tend to take it for granted. You get in the rhythm of these are the three meta comps this season, and then someone tosses out something you don't expect. And
right.
how do you deal with it when you've never gone against it before?
And I say at this level, at plat level, at diamond level, there's not a lot of meta. If you practice these things, you can be successful at it. And in this case, this definitely was a practice play by Odyssey. You know, they had a plan. They were going to, you know, utilize this new hero in a way to attack this map in a new way. Let's change Ryan into a Winston and throw him on the high ground right away. And, you know, Freakwatch didn't really have an answer for his mobility. They really weren't able to take Cat much out of the picture. And I think had Daphne been able to connect on a couple of those charges, this would have been an even more lopsided win for Odyssey.
Oh, for sure.
So we're heading off to Esperanza.
With how scrappy these fights have been, I'll be interested to see how these goes. I mean, a lot of the matchups we've seen when it comes to push so far this season is it tends to be a blowout. One, more often than not, one way or the other. Just seems to be the way
Yeah.
the season's running.
Yeah, well, and it could be a lot of momentum. You know, we identified a bit earlier here, but you know, Odyssey they're able to be a little less. I call it brittle. You know, they're a little more durable, little bit more able to take. Hey, we had a busted play. Let's reset quick, or they have the individual skill to kind of make that happen. Whereas Freakwatch, what I'm seeing is they can cut you deep. They can cut you deep in a hurry. But if they don't connect, it's like having a very sharp sword blade, and all it's doing is connecting with air. And it doesn't matter how sharp it is if all you're doing is connecting with air. So they're a little swing for the bleachers. I see Freakwatch as being a little swing for the bleachers, and I see Odyssey as being a little bit more resilient to that. So it's a great lineup of these teams with little different styles with their skill sets and how they're attacking these maps. And both both can be successful here, as we've seen. Freakwatch has tasted victory. I think this map on Blizzard was the most lopsided one. Dorado went to a nail biter. So now it's up to Freakwatch to make the adjustment. Do you stick with that very high punch, very poke oriented style that King Julian likes to play with the Widow, with the Sojourn, getting Chubb in on there with the Venture, you got that burst damage? Um, and keep in mind that Odyssey took away Winston. Was that the determining factor?
Yeah, it is very possible because they do seem incredibly comfortable on the Winston. Esperanza is a map where we could see that come back again. Yeah, I think we're probably more likely to see some brawl here. I mean, even if we do keep the Winston, it may
Right.
be more of a brawly type of monkey comp.
So, question for the rules person. Can they ban the same hero twice? Okay. Okay. So we definitely could be seeing Chaco back on Winston for Esperanza.
It seems they were not a fan of the shenanigans getting an immediate cat ban. And I kind of get it. I mean, we've had some limited time to cat so far, but on this map in particular, the cat can go over the roofs and be
Yeah.
kind of a nuisance to deal with.
I stated this in, the Looking for Gold Scrim, the general channel. One person was asking for some advice and kind of laid out a 5-point area. And one of those areas is called pathing for teams. And I've said I've seen entire maps be won on just pathing. And you just saw it right here. They found a way to get Ryan to a spot very quickly that normally would not occur without Cat, until this new season, this new Overwatch. So pathing wins fights.
Yeah, it definitely does. I guess the quickness to adapt to it has used a little work. I don't think they were expecting a high ground Rhine
It's so
right off the
quick.
bat. It's
so
been too
quick.
long since we've had a sim meta for people to remember those kinds of
Yeah,
trickery.
the TP strats, right? having a team show up in your back line, 10 seconds after rolling out a spawn, and you already got a Rhine in your back line. That's rough to deal with. And that's up to the team captains to hit tab and say, hey, we got to deal with, we got a cat, we got to reposition or consolidate. Because wherever they dump him, we're going to have a problem. So we got a little bit of change now. We got Daphne coming out for Fearless. And reminder again, we have the two bans are for Venture and for Cat.
Got a lot of confusion on team swaps going on.
So we've got Choco coming out for Festive.
You definitely have some team swaps going on there.
Yeah. Well, that's what we mentioned earlier on the discussion. It is now up to Freakwatch to kind of make, they're not dictating the terms anymore. They have to come in with something. They got to find that magic from the first match. Either get that tempo back. I think they play a little bit better with that fast, we're just going to roll in and cut you deep and cut you fast. Dive type of fight. And Odyssey is adapting very well. They're just not trying to play the Freakwatch dive. They're just saying, "Hey, fine, we'll dive, but we're going to bend, but we're not going to break. We're going to give you some space. You're going to get a pick, maybe even two, but you're not going to team wipe us, and we're going to come in and be able to recontest." Yeah, I was looking at the chat there. Yeah, Azaria, um, Zarya, and wow, we've got some wild changes coming in for Freakwatch. Okay.
Yeah, chat's probably on to something here because they just swapped Julian to tank. We've seen this in previous weeks. Julian goes on tank and they run Zarya, and they got a pretty mean Zarya.
Yeah, this this is different. And I like this. Freakwatch had to do this. They had to make the adjustment because they kind of got rolled a little bit on Blizzard World. And they came up a little short with what found them success on the first map on Helios. So now that Odyssey is kind of adapting to their dive speed, they've got to give Odyssey, Freakwatch has to give Odyssey a new look. And this is that, and another bag of chips because King Julian going over to tank and having Festive come in for Chaco. Yeah. A reminder, Cat and Venture are banned. Both teams have hit the big Romeo, indicating that they are ready.
Here we go into
Esperanza.
map 4, Esperanza, Game Point Odyssey.
Initiating match.
All right, we're rolling into 21. I'm going to take a little, I'm going to grab a little something to wet the old throat here in the 15 seconds.
Ready for battle.
It looks like we have our lineups. It's going to be dive yet again. A little bit of compositional differences. Looks like Odyssey will be rolling out on the ball comp. First time we've seen them play ball
5, 4,
this match.
3, 2, 1. Objective unlocked in 30 seconds.
And then Chubb having to make that change up with Venture Ban, going over to Vendetta, kind of filling that same role.
All right, so
Let's see who can take this first space. Both teams securing their own high grounds pretty early on.
yeah, both teams
They're
right
about
now
to
just
come
kind
on
of
online.
Omega going down early. Leaving advantage Freakwatch here. If they can capitalize on this, isolate down Fast Feet. We've
Yep,
seen
and
this,
Freakwatch does ultimately get the first push.
yeah, and we've seen this before. Omega does like to hold those flanks individually as a DPS player. That gets him into trouble a little bit. So we've got Freakwatch again, fighting for their lives here. It is match point. They are down 1. Trades
Oh, no,
coming
even
in.
trade on the Curious right out the gate.
So what do you think of Lucky being on ball here? Is it gonna work out for them as a disruptive fight in the back line for Odyssey?
It's definitely an interesting decision. I mean, the Lucky is going to have the movement advantage over Julian being on ball. I think what we're going to need to see from Odyssey is we're going to have to see Omega and Fearless. I mean, potentially even the support line being able to get into the target that Ball's trying to engage on. I think if they can manage to do that, then this may end up working out pretty well for them. The Fearless involved with that. Punisher goes down right away.
And both teams are kind of struggling to push it, but advantage Freakwatch right now. But yeah, with Lucky on ball, their challenge as a team is trying to get him, Omega, and Fearless on the same page to be able to punch one of these Freakwatch players out.
Enemy has a robot. Not for long.
Because
Freakwatch
Diva's
seeding the space nicely there.
Because with Diva soaking up a lot of that damage, it's gonna take. All right.
Waiting for Omega. They got 2 right away. Should be cleanup. Odyssey. This is going to be close. I mean, Freakwatch got the first push, but didn't quite get it to that first capture point. You know, Odyssey's going to have it pretty close to matching them by the time they can manage to get back here.
Yeah, if Odyssey can pull out the lead here, this kind of chaotic playstyle kind of favors them being in the lead.
It does look like Freakwatch back. Both carry ults coming out. Freakwatch definitely with the ult advantage here. Doge ult comes out. They should be able to clean up on that.
But they can't forget about the card again. But they're holding on to the lead. You know, and this, like I said, Freakwatch, they cannot lose the lead. This is gonna this push map is gonna be a match of inches. You're gonna get a bob over there, and you're gonna get another 2 meters, and then you're gonna lose the fight, and you gotta hang on.
Yeah, this is Freakwatch's chance right here. They did a great job on that last fight maintaining their ult economy, and they're walking into this fight into 3v1 on the ults. Here comes one from Chubb.
And
That managing to take out Omega.
All right, so Freakwatch advancing the lead. And again, the challenge for Lucky's, he's got to coordinate with the Genji and the Tracer.
Absolutely, that does seem to be the hard part for Odyssey right now, is if they can just coordinate a little bit with where those dives are going. You know, we've seen that when they coordinate, people drop quickly, but we have to see that coordination. Now, Lucky is going back over to Doom. That may be a bit more of a comfort pick.
I was going to say, but that comfort pick has paid off.
And they have him so cornered.
But Freakwatch is playing this right. They're not falling for this chaos fight. They're like, hey, look, just stay around the card a little bit. Right now we've got their divas, King Julian's is out there a little bit. That might cost them a fight here, but for the most part, Freakwatch is staying much more compact.
And that's 3 from Omega.
Wow, that was
I mean,
great Omega, man. That was great production.
You know, they may have lost the fight, but Omega's going to have the respawn here. They're going to take control.
They're going to take control, and this is their time. Like I say, if they can get the lead, this chaos playstyle that they're running kind of favors them. But man, they got to win this fight. Lucky.
And that was a fantastic fight from Freakwatch. I mean, we're really seeing the difference it makes when you have Keegan Julian's doing such a great job controlling space on the diva, makes it really tough for Odyssey to really set up for what they need to do.
Yeah.
They are getting punished for any isolated target. That diva is so good at punishing isolated targets.
Just moving in and that's where, well, now Odyssey has no choice but to play compact. You're down to the last few meters here. There is no flanky flank. Coming down to individual plays though, we gotta get. There you go. Now Odyssey's turning it around.
Lucky getting a couple of picks.
Got to get that diva out of your back line, but now they did. And What happened? They played as a team. They didn't have 2 or 3 people going on massive flank. You didn't have Omega, which off Genji onto Freya. We didn't call that.
He's such a good stagger on the Diva. This is rough for Odyssey. Or for Freakwatch.
Weird.
That was a great play by Odyssey.
Yeah. Like I said, now they're up. They got to make hay now. The sun is up. The crops are in the field. You gotta win this fight. Some trades coming in.
Yeah, Freakwatch managing to hold their own while they waited for King Julian to get back.
They're managing to hold their own.
It's just barely that they managed to escape that doom without any losses.
Cart is going back. King Julian, he's just gonna do a remake here. He's not gonna. I don't need the ult charge from supports. We just need to keep the big Mo rolling.
We do see it pretty even on ult economy. There's no real advantage either way at this point for this upcoming fight.
But you know what Odyssey doesn't have? They don't have the time economy. We're down to 1 minute 30.
They definitely don't.
And with as much of a lead as Freakwatch has, any time that they burn on the bot just goes in their favor all that much. And if they can get it into OT before they even get back to the middle spawn point, it's going to be really tough, really tough. So they don't have to win fights. They just burn time.
They definitely don't. That does seem to be the struggle.
That. Yeah, I think Freakwatchers recognize that. Hey, we're not committing. We're not chasing butterflies. We need to go down hallways. We just need to live.
And they're doing such a good job at living. They're definitely making it tough for Odyssey to secure an elimination. Beat coming in, preventing even more. And actually, they're going to clean up that fight. This is going to go to Freakwatch. You know, Odyssey probably has one more touch after this if they can get disengaged quickly enough, but that's going to be it.
Yeah, they're one more touch. What do they got to work with here? They've got Tracer. They got a Pulse. They
got
do
a Pulse
have
Bomb,
Doomfist.
got a Doom ult.
But Doomfist needs to be on the card.
A couple of bolts
Doomfist
spray
needs to be on the card.
online.
That health pool needs to be on the card. So it's almost like he can't ult.
He just gets burned down so fast by Freakwatch. They're doing a great job at pressuring out Lucky.
Freakwatch. Looks like they're just gonna walk it in here.
They are, and that is going to tie up this series.
2-2.
2-2, Freakwatch.
But they did what they had to do, which is give Odyssey a completely different look and style. And that's what they did. And they got a win for it. You know, I saw the vision of what Omega then pulling out a great play of the game there. I saw what Odyssey was trying to do. They were kind of running a disruption comp. They had the ball, they had the Genji, the Tracer. Just Freakwatch just wasn't really falling for the bait. You know, they just couldn't really. There wasn't anything to disrupt. And King Julian was so, like you said, King Julian was so great at just diving on those little stragglers from Odyssey and punching them back to spawn that Odyssey never really didn't get any good, clean re-engagements. So Esperanza goes to Freakwatch and ties it up 2-2. Now we're into the heavy discussion time. I think both teams
Probably gonna be fighting for getting some answers on the map and hero band picks this time with this going into the 2-2.
Now I'm not on Odyssey's voice channel. I don't know. I'm suspecting. Why did we play that comp? let's go back to what we did on Blizzard World. Let's go back to what we worked on Dorado. Let's play. Let's. That was a bridge too far for us. That was a little too fast and loose, and we just could not coordinate. So I'm expecting Odyssey kind of step back a little bit, maybe into more classical dive, if not kind of a rush comp, where they can just have that, like what they had on Rhine with on Blizzard World, where they just had that tent pole tank to kind of coordinate around.
Yeah,
And
it does like Odyssey's going to take this time to try to strategize. Every two maps we have the option for a bio. It does look like Odyssey's going to want their bio, and I imagine they're probably spending that time trying to strategize for what's going to work against Freakwatch here.
yeah, now Freakwatch, high fives all around in the chat channel, because that was a pretty dominant performance there.
It definitely was, and it kind of looks like when it comes down to traditional comps and operating them well, that Freakwatch probably has the advantage here. But I mean, what we saw from Odyssey is when you bring out something unconventional, it's a little tougher to deal with. So I could see, coming up with an odd plan working in their favor.
Yeah.
And we've already used the cat ban, so cat is on the table.
Cat's back on the table. Yeah, and reminder, Odyssey does come in with the technically slightly higher seed, but both teams are 3-2, and that has been borne out tonight. We were expecting an even match. What do we got? We're 2-2. We're heading into.
We're definitely getting an even match.
Yeah, and most importantly, we're getting different styles of play. We're getting different players stepping up at different times to make huge plays. And so what do we got in the next map rotation? What's in the next map pick here? What choices do we have?
Let's see here. It looks like we're going to be picking between. Well, actually, they have a choice now. Actually, no, we have not done Flashpoint. So they're going to be able to choose between Atlas, New Junk City, and Suravasa.
Oh boy.
We do not see a whole lot of New Junk City getting picked. So the question is, are they picking Atlas or Suravasa?
It comes down to which team. I'm thinking Freakwatch is feeling confident, so they're going to pick the map that is their strength. Hey, this is our strength. We're not going to pick a map that takes away. And they won the last one, so I guess they don't get the map pick if I'm reading the rules right. So Odyssey is on their heels a little bit. They might be looking to pick the map that Freakwatch is a little weaker on, instead of picking the map that Odyssey is the strength. There's two ways to approach it as a team. Do you want to maximize your strength? Do you want to shore up your weaknesses? And I think Odyssey has shown that when they play a little slower style, they can win these games. Now, which map facilitates a little bit slower style? I don't know. I think I would pick Saravasa, but Atlas, I haven't played it in a team setting, so it's a little hard for me to judge that one. It's a little chopped up. It doesn't flow as well as
I say
Saravasa
does seem to be a bit more defined as far as what lanes people are trying to pick and where they're going to attack from. Whereas, when I see Atlas play, a lot of the time it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
and if Freakwatch is the more, I guess, reserved, play a proper, slightly more meta way of playing, maybe Atlas works a little bit better in Odyssey's favor if they can make it a little more unpredictable.
Because another thing that I would not do as Freakwatch, I would not be making any substitutions. We're going with the dance with the girl that brought us here, and that is this lineup. No changes. If I were the coach of Freakwatch, look, why disrupt a winning formula? This was such a dominating performance on the last map. I would be
Oh,
keeping
100%.
everything.
I think a lot of that comes down to just having Julian on the tank. I mean, we've seen how scrappy these fights can get, and from where I'm looking, from a third person view, having the diva just anchor where they're going and what they're doing seemed to make such a difference in people being on the same page of what they were trying to accomplish.
Right now, Monty Owl again, our very excellent producer tonight is and a lobby referee, gently prodding them to make their choices.
Looks like we have players back. We'll find out momentarily. Which map are we going into for Flashpoint?
So, if I'm the coach for Odyssey, I would probably tip a little bit to Omega because I'm thinking Omega is critical to Odyssey's success. But I'd be like, hey, just watch your position just a little bit. Like just just dial it back like a little bit, you know? We need you alive. Just watch your position a little bit because you're getting isolated out and that's we need you in the fight. So I think it comes down to supports to tell Omega, hey, watch it. You're wandering to mad flank territory, and to just keep an eye on him because as we've seen in the play of the game, as we've seen in Esperanza, as we saw on Blizzard World, Omega is a very impactful player, and it's up to the support players to keep a close eye on him and let him know, hey, I need my main tool over here. I mean, the tip of the spear over here. Help me out.
It looks like Odyssey has decided to give the map pick to Freakwatch in favor of getting the first hero ban. Makes me wonder: are we going to see them protect ban on a role that they would like, or are we going to have a targeted attack on a particular player from Freakwatch? And map is in. We'll be playing Suravasa for map 5. As we say, Flashpoint for last. There cannot be a draw, so this will be the map that decides it all.
For all the marbles.
And Odyssey's ban coming in, banning Diva. Probably not much of a surprise there after the way the last map went.
A shock to absolutely nobody.
But there are quite a few very solid tank picks on Suravasa. We've seen some queens run away with this map. We've seen some poke. They have some options.
Yeah, it's all right. Whose game is it to win and whose game is it to lose? That's a big question. I think it is Odyssey's game to lose, which means I think they have the tools to win this. It comes down to, are they going to play that style? Are they going to do? I'm seeing Odyssey make things that can be adjusted to beat Freakwatch. So I'm saying that this is Odyssey's game to lose right now. Slight prediction there. Slight prediction.
You're putting it on Odyssey.
I'm putting it on Odyssey. I am putting it on Odyssey.
See, we got a Genji ban. Freakwatch. No roster changes coming in for Odyssey. Looks like teams are ready to go.
Again, to everybody, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Cajun Wise Guy. I haven't been in the casting chair here for many years. I used to be a caster back in the day. One of the original esports casters back in Quake. Did OTC casting back in the original and some T1 casting. And PSI, thanks for joining us tonight.
Traveling to Suravasa.
Of course, it's good to be here.
Because this is a heck of a match. It's down to the wire. We cannot ask for a better match tonight.
Oh, 100%. This is my first casting in season 7, and what a nail biter to come back for. 5 seconds. Let's see what kind of comps we're going to be rolling out from these teams.
Ready for battle.
All right.
Well, if this is accurate, this is about what I was expecting. We have a Freakwatch coming out with a pretty traditional scrim comp here.
Mm-hmm.
And then absolute madness on the side of Odyssey.
But what did Odyssey pick? Slow, hits hard. Not that
Okay,
they
we're
switched it
getting
up
trolled a little
Switch
bit.
it up a little, getting trolled a little bit. That's all right. It's all right. It's fine. Lucky back on Doomfist. And Omega, we're going kind of back to the Blizzard world composition here. But supports have got to pay attention to Omega. They cannot let him get down to half. Full is half is dead.
Yeah, and Freakwatch is going to be having the same trouble. That beam can be deadly if you're not paying attention.
Right now, first blood to Freakwatch as they flip the point. Ooh, picks are coming in from Omega.
That's exactly what we were just talking about. You have to watch out for Omega.
Yeah, he's the high impact player for Odyssey, and as long if he stays in the fight, they're gonna be okay. Now it comes down to Lucky minimizing the mistakes. Don't overextend. Don't push where your team can't get to you.
Yeah, King Julian swapping off of the Diva over to Monkey, and we also have Emery making his first appearance this evening.
Very powerful new DPS on the field here. We've King Julian on Winston. And sure enough, King Julian on the point. Flipping it back.
The flip. Yeah, Omega really needs to win this now.
Omega's doing what he can. Doing what he can. Right now, Lucky just needs to get out. He just needs to reset.
Yeah, they have to reset, especially after letting the point flip there in the middle of the fight.
But they got tools. But they gotta watch out. They cannot. They're gonna have to make their main push right around 95%. Unfortunately, that's just how the numbers are gonna bear out here. Are they gonna commit ults to it? And that's where fast
Odyssey
feet
getting the
goes
first,
down.
but they immediately trade. It's a 4v4 still. The Omega drops. We have to. Odyssey has to get a pick. They do get that pick.
This might
Dubs goes
play.
down.
Conversely, this might play. This is why I love Flashpoint. You can win by losing the first point. You got 2 ults out of Freakwatch right now. Now you committed to Doomfist on a battle loss. That's an ult you probably want back right now. But that's the beauty of a Flashpoint as a team game. I'm not saying for ladder players, but for a team, hey, you can say, hey, let's just do a dry run. Force them to commit ults on the first point so that we can roll into the second point and have the ult advantage.
Freakwatch taking the space early. They're going to make Odyssey push into them, which they seem to have no problem going for. Lucky getting the first pick.
So right now, King Julian have to commit a survival ult. If Omega can get a pick here, and he does,
they've got to clear that Lucio out.
They can flip the point and they can start cranking percentage.
They're going to be able to.
And most importantly,
clean it up.
they didn't lose anybody. They got a solid. This was a clean take.
Didn't lose
Now they
anybody. They only burned 1 ult to make it happen.
And this is the beauty of Flashpoint. Now they can just sit back, and now they have to just personally keep Omega going.
Omega goes down.
But I think King Julian's kind of cluing in a little bit that Omega is priority target number 1. Don't lose that percentage. Just don't lose that percentage.
Barely got back in time.
But you know what? Barely still counts in Flashpoint, so they're still running that percentage up. But I think Lucky's gonna go down.
Does look like Freakwatch
right.
clears it up, but that was a great stall by Odyssey, managing to get another 30% out of it.
Yeah, this is great for
that's
Odyssey.
enough that if they can get the fight win, they probably have this point.
Yeah, they can take this point, and right now, they're going to have to commit ults here, and that's what they do. And Chubb is able to get Omega out of the fight.
Emperor drops as well. This is probably going to be a wrap-up Freakwatch. If Odyssey just needs to reset quickly enough
Yeah,
to come back
Odyssey
one more
needs to
time.
reset. Correct. This is a lost fight.
If
Jump off
Doom
the edge,
stalls
go back
any
spawn.
longer, he's not going to have his shot.
He's got to get out. Or his support's got to rescue him. One or the other. Well, now we're into a point where desperate times call for desperate measures. Because you can give up this point. I would say you don't want to commit ults. Because you're not gonna be able to get there in time.
They do manage to get the touch. We'll have one final brawl for this point. Omega Doggo getting the first pick.
Can they get the kills? Can they get the converts? It was a sloppy engage, but Rush is coming out. Got to get Chubb out of the
Punisher
fight.
will go down. This is looking in Odyssey's favor here.
Good flip.
All systems on optimal level. That was effective.
That's going to give this point to Odyssey, 1-1 on our final
Style
map.
points 0. Effective points 100. They take the point.
Definitely some scrappy fights again. Yeah, that's part of the fun though, isn't it?
Well, we've identified that early. Odyssey is good at just being able to adapt to suboptimal conditions. And Lucky coming up with 2 critical kills. Can they convert that into taking that point, getting over there, capping it? Point unlocks here in 10 seconds. Should be able to get some percentage off here. All right, clock has started. Again, Lucky's got to be careful. Committing sound barrier right now. Keep the sustain going. Now it's just a scrappy fight in the back line.
They are managing to trade. Freakwatch might still have a chance to bring this back here. That's the last one. Freakwatch will turn the fight around.
I think for Odyssey, I think they would have preferred to get another 10 or 15 out of that, but it's workable. It's doable.
Definitely workable, and they're back pretty quickly already. One of the benefits of these mobile
Correct,
comps.
right. This has been one of their quicker resets, so
Adaptive circuits engaged.
right now Mega's committing
Mega
ults.
manages to get the ult off fast enough and get the first pick. Lucky getting the second pick.
Functions at peak power. Hello there.
Ooh, King Julian did commit his ult.
Yeah, that was a great counter Mucky ult from a Mega Doggo. It's not often you see a DPS player have a clutch primal.
No.
Julian straight into the point though, getting that first pick.
Can they run it up? They're going to have to run it up to 99. You know, it's oh, it's a little short, Now they got to reset quick. They cannot hang out in the back line. It's 3v. They got reinforcements. Reinforcements are here. The cavalry is here. The rush is on. King Julian though coming up big. Tracer and going
It's down to a
High Noon.
3v3. Is High Noon gonna get anything? No, but
Doesn't have
Lucky
to
is
get
off the
anything.
map.
Functions at peak power.
They already had the point, so all they had to do is just zone them out. There you go. So festive up
Flashpoint.
Freakwatch
2 to
taking
1.
point 3,
match,
but only
and
barely.
game. Freakwatch. So Odyssey's got a lot of points again. Omega's got his ult coming back online. Fearless goes down quick. That's going to put a hamper on being able to take that point for Odyssey.
Engaged.
And Odyssey's Mega having to commit quick.
Personality duplication complete.
But fight looks to be going
But
Omega's way
Odyssey
right
needs
now.
the touch. They almost gave up the point there.
Lucky getting a good pick. Yeah, you need Lucky back on point here. You just need that big health pool, that big sustain. All right, well, Odyssey is all in it now. They did commit. They did commit a little bit of resources to take it, well earned. And Freakwatch doesn't have a lot in the tank, honestly. It's almost going to have to do a dry run here just to kind of build their ults.
Yeah, they don't really have a choice. They're so far behind on the economy, and I mean, we know they can win fights without it, but it's a whole lot easier with it.
And right now, they're not even getting much of their ult charge. They're just getting eliminated hard.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a tough call, even if they come back into this one. You know, they're
Well,
gonna be at a
and
disappointing
that-
advantage
and
if
that
they
could
make it
be-
back to point.
That could be the big strategy for Freakwatch. I mean, hey, look, guys, we're not going to win this point. Let's just get all of our ults and try to draw out ults out of Odyssey. So when we roll into point 5, we got the ultimate advantage.
And that
So
is
we are-
critical, is, you know, not only building theirs, but they have to get some ults out of Odyssey. You know, they did get the Doom ult, but, you know, not the most impactful ult in the game. We're still
Correct. Here we
looking
roll.
at both support ults and Echo.
5th point on the 5th map. Doesn't get any closer than this. Ult economy advantage, Odyssey. But Freakwatch has a lot of them coming online here very quick. Individual play can and will influence this. Odyssey giving space, committing sustain.
Anu not
best
getting
hit.
anything. Beat
That-
coming in clutch there from Sir Slim Jim.
As they say, a very scrappy fight on point right now.
And it seems like both teams had the same plan, and they're both fighting for who's going to get control for that plan. It's so
Depending
back
on
and
what-
forth.
It's so bad. I was gonna say Odyssey advantage, Freakwatch advantage, Odyssey advantage, Freakwatch advantage.
It does look like King may go down here.
He may, yeah. He should have just gotten out. That should have been a non-winnable fight.
Odyssey gonna get the first cap, but they did cost them everything.
It cost them
coming down
everything.
to just their Doom ult versus
Now, would
just the Vendetta ult on Freakwatch's side.
What's the win condition? I'm saying we're looking for the win condition is Omega getting his ult. That's the win condition for Odyssey right now. The win condition for Freakwatch, it's a combination of sustain from Lucio, and Chubb has to pull out a good ult here. So Freakwatch, I think, has to commit around 65. They have to commit around 65%.
Julian swapping over to the ball. He's gonna go contest that point, pull them back so his team can walk in a little bit.
All right, Omega's in play.
That's 2 down from Freakwatch. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do much here.
You've got an Odyssey tying up the back line, and really the only person that's here is King Julian. And he eventually goes down. Sustain comes down with sound barrier. So
Ooh, and that is going to be it.
Odyssey takes
Odyssey
it in
clutching the win.
in a nail biter, a well earned nail biter.
A massively close game. I don't think we had I mean, with the exception of push, everything was so close every single fight.
Yeah, when we see matches like this, it comes down to the little details. It comes down to maybe one communication, one one alt combo, one individual play. But hats off to Freakwatch. They came out to play. They came out to win this, and they brought Odyssey all the way to the very, very end. Had a few plays gone a little different, maybe we'd be looking at Freakwatch as the winner here. But right now, Odyssey, yeah, hats off. I think they adapted a little bit better. I think they were able to kind of flex a little bit better when the chips were down. Whereas I saw Freakwatch kind of they would break, and they would have to just reconstitute the parts and spawn and then come back out again. But yeah, it kind of came down to the two players that we thought were going to be most impactful, which was Omega and King Julian, and they both showed up. They both played huge. So
Definitely
yeah.
big plays from both. I mean, this map could have gone either way, and I wouldn't have been surprised. So, kudos to both of them. We saw some fantastic matchups this evening. On that note, I'm going to have to dip, but I will be handing over my portion of the rest of tonight's activities to your production manager,
Hello.
Mighty Owl.
Yeah, PSI, thank you so much for contributing tonight. It was
And been
Well
great casting
appreciated.
this evening. All right, take care, everybody.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Great job. Okay, let
all
me
right,
make
Mighty
sure.
Owl. Jeez, woo! I tell you, you
good.
had me come in on a nail biter tonight.
Yeah. Thank you so much for casting. Let's see. I'm gonna put it on a different slide while I ask who wants to be interviewed.
Oh, we get to interview people. Oh,
Mhm.
excellent. That's that'll. I like interviewing people. I used to do that.
Mhm. But yeah, thank you for stepping in and casting. It's really appreciated. I can do both. I can do productions and cast. It's just so much nicer when I'm focused on one role.
Yeah, you hit a task saturation where you got a lot of spinning plates,
Mhm.
and sometimes it gets to be a bit much.
Mhm. Okay, so they want Jaden to be their interviewer. Okay.
Interviewee.
Interviewee, yes. All right, we'll move them in. Hello?
Welcome, welcome.
Hey,
Hi,
hi everyone.
congratulations first off. My goodness, wow, that so much going
Thank
on.
you.
Yeah.
So before we get into before we get into the interview, Jay, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself so the audience knows who you are?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jaden. I also go by Lucky in game. I play kind of a little bit of everything for Scylla, mostly hit scan though.
All right, so we saw you play a variety of roles. We saw you on DPS and we saw you on tank. From a team perspective, what were the decisions that drove you to one role or the other tonight?
Honestly, it just tends to be what map picks we we go for. Like because I tend to be more strong suited towards those like more divey maps where I can play the Hazard and the Doomfist. But otherwise, I'll just like play hit scan and chill, hit my shots.
Did the Freakwatch influence the choices of you moving into one of those roles?
Uh, Personally, I don't believe so. Although I don't know how the rest of like my team would say. Like I don't know if they would agree.
Because where we saw you first come out, you were on Dorado, and you came out, and at first it looked like you were kind of struggling a little bit on Doomfist. Second stage Dorado, we saw you kind of get a little ahead of your supports, and we were calling it that, hey, you're dictating the fight, you're dictating the tempo. But when you would go down, and that allowed kind of Freakwatch to kind of come back in and kind of dictate that fight, and we saw you kind of swap out for Daphne a little bit, and so we didn't know quite what that dynamic was, what drove those decisions. But you're saying it was pretty much map dependent and just
Yeah,
that
pretty
style
much
of
so.
team. Were you adapting to Freakwatch as a team, or were you just say, hey, look, these are our cards, this is what we're going to play, hell or high water, we're not adapting, they're going to have to adapt to us, and this is what we're going to do?
No, I mean definitely you have to adapt because like no two teams will play a certain comp the same. So although like we would want to try to make it so they have to adapt to us, sometimes that's not the cards you're dealt. So you kind of have to move on with that.
So
And
great games have great opponents. Freakwatch was a great opponent for you tonight.
Mhm.
How who on Freakwatch were you looking for? Was there a couple of players that like, look, these people are hurting us. So they're just we gotta address these couple of players. And if so, who
oh
were they?
yeah, it was at least personally. I just think King Julian. He played tank that last map. I feel like he was playing really well, and honestly, just I have respect to him. Like as a player, he played very well. So did the rest of the team, but I feel like out of all of them, he stood out.
Yeah, because you guys you came into Esperanza and you kind of got rolled. You kind of got rolled.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're going, okay. It's gonna be on Odyssey. I was calling in the chat. I was like, look, this is Odyssey's game to lose. because they've got the tools to adapt. Um, I and going into Esperanza, but it depends on what we were kind of identifying from my perspective is that you as a team, you guys were adapting a little bit better. Like you could lose a player and not lose the fight, if that made sense. You could lose Omega, Omega got out on a little mad flanky territory a couple
Oh
of
yeah.
times and got called out on it but that didn't cost the team. It was just like you guys were able to kind of absorb that loss a little bit and be a little durable and come back in very quickly versus what we saw with Freakwatch was they could come in and they could hit like a truck. They could come in and just delete a couple of you guys really quick. And that was their strength. That was their advantage that we had over you two. So when we rolled into Esperanza, from our perspective as casters, we saw something of playstyle. It was almost like a chaos playstyle that we were seeing from you. And
Mm-hmm.
Freakwatch was more the controlled team that was just kind of hovering around the cart with Julius being kind of the assassin diva that just kind of went after the
Yeah,
stragglers.
yeah. Uh, to be fair, we just kind of struggled, I think, as a team to, we try to call it, let's calm down, let's group up, let's take the fight properly, but something would just happen, like somebody would get picked off randomly, and
So you got to go look back at your coach, go back into the VODs and try to
oh yeah,
make
definitely.
some improvements here and look forward to next week. Like I said, this was kind of a bubble game for both teams to get into the playoffs, and we saw this as there was a lot on the line, and having been on a team, sometimes that can kind of play a little bit jitters. The first map jitters kind of get in there. Did any of that play into the place where you just had to kind of, hey guys, we just got to settle down, we just got to lock in? Did any of that talk kind of come in through the comms tonight?
I mean, yeah, just especially after that Esperanza, we obviously during the bio break, we all like chilled out, talked it out, and mental reset for next month.
Mental reset. That's what makes really good teams when you can get like Mike Tyson always says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And
Yeah.
you guys got punched a little bit and came back and still were able to adapt really well. And Freakwatch, I mean, they took you right to the wire, and they were making some really good plays. And what we saw was Omega was really kind of a pivotal player on your team tonight,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially in the last map. Was that something that was kind of planned out where you needed to keep Omega going, or was it more he was
Um,
just making great individual plays?
I mean, he's just a really good player, like especially on the DPS characters. And honestly, usually our plans try to revolve around working around him, but uh, he's also like the type of player that would just like go quiet in the VC and just go on a flank and kill one.
Yeah,
Well, Jay, thanks so much for taking some time tonight with us. We really appreciate it, and thanks
yeah,
for participating in these tournaments with us.
Of course, thank
You
yeah.
guys
you.
make it.
I was gonna say, Jay, before you leave, I do have a quick question. I want to know on Blizzard World, who was the mastermind between the cat and Reinhardt?
That would be our coaches. They've been
Okay.
you know
And say Infer
telling us
seemed like they had a
to
lot of fun on.
practice it a little bit.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah, Enfer definitely has a lot of fun in that.
Yeah.
So
Nice, nice. Well, that was quite exciting to see because out of this entire series or season so far, oh, that's the first time we got to see. The closest was the cat with Widow, and that was about it, and that did not work out well. So it's
Well, I
great.
was joking. I was saying, why do you need Winston when you've got Cat and Ryan? Just dump the
Right?
Winston into the
yeah,
back
Yeah.
line.
exactly. The same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Enjoy your win. Congratulations, and
Thank
Hopefully
you.
we'll get
Thank
the
you.
cast for next week. That was a tough one. So, GG's.
GG's.
All right, everyone. Have a
Good
great
night,
night.
everyone.
Yeah, good night. I'm gonna try to move you. Okay, cool. Well, great job. Thank you, Cajun Wise guys, so much for like last minute clutching it in and casting with PSI. And also thank you so much LFGS community for stopping by, watching, supporting your teams, commenting, keeping the chat really active. It's great to see everybody out and supporting everybody and the community. It's really awesome. Um, I don't know, Cajun, do you got any final words or?
Thanks for suffering my very rusty casting.
No, you did great. You
And
so good.
it was fun to kind of get back into the seat. And again, that's I appreciate everybody that kind of tuned in tonight. You guys are the ones that the reason why we do this. It's the reason why the server was started up years and years ago, because you know the lower ranked players and teams are always underserved, and we want to be a beacon, a place to come, a hangout. You know, the bar that you go to have a beer. For us players that are never going to be, you know, masters and grandmasters
Yeah.
along that line. So we really thank your participation.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. We have another pretty banger matchup coming up. Uh, um, so stay tuned for Sunday. All right. Good night, everybody.
Bonsoir.